Hey you guys, so today I'm doing a little bit of a different video. As you guys probably know, if you are subscribed to my channel, we just got back from our Chicago trip to see the BTS Speak Yourself, Love Yourself tour, and it was amazing. If you are new to my channel, I will go ahead and link that video up above because I had so much fun that weekend. It was just absolutely amazing and it was just incredible. Like, their concerts just, I don't know how they do it. It's just amazing. But anyway, today I wanted to sit down now that we are back home and do a little bit of a different kind of video. I wanted to share with you guys how I save money on makeup. I am not currently on any PR lists. I don't tend to get a lot of emails from people, etc., because I'm a smaller channel. So the majority of all the makeup I use and share with you is all stuff that I buy myself. And of course, I will always disclose if I'm ever sent makeup for consideration, PR makeup, sponsor makeup, anything like that, I will always disclose to you guys. But today I wanted to share with you how I save money on makeup because I don't like spending a ton of money on makeup. I would rather save my money and use it for things like travel or experiences rather than things, which you wouldn't quite think if you looked at my makeup collection. But again, I consider this something I would love to be able to consider a full-time job at some point. But I wanted to share with you guys some things. I'm going to kind of go into basics here a bit. I don't tend to be a big couponer. I don't believe in a lot of the shadier stuff that some people will do on these types of videos. So I'm kind of going just to the basics. I don't have time for like rebates and Groupons and all the stuff that people do. I just don't have time for it. So if you're looking for like extreme couponing or dumpster diving, this is definitely not the video for you. If you're looking for more practical tips and just things, this is definitely, hopefully, somewhat helpful for you guys. My first big thing with makeup is to know your brands and know the differences between your brands. I consider there to be 4 tiers of makeup. 5 if you count the stuff that you buy at like dollar stores that you don't want to put on your face, but we don't put that on our face, so we don't count that. So there's generally 4 different types of makeup. You have your luxury designer brands, Chanel, Dior, Marc Jacobs, Louis Vuitton, etc. Typically, if they also sell clothes, it's a luxury brand, so around $60 to $300. I do not tend to buy luxury makeup brands because they're not in my price bracket. Now, if they were in my price bracket, would I buy them and try them occasionally? Yes, I've heard some wonderful things about some of the brands, and other things I've heard that they're no better than drugstore. So there are certain items from different luxury brands I would try if they were in my price bracket. The next level down is what's considered high-end, or what Ulta often refers to as prestige makeup. This usually goes in between the $20 to $50 to $60 range. These are things like Urban Decay, Tarte, Anastasia Beverly Hills, MAC, etc. I do have a lot of these products, and we'll get into in a little bit which products I tend to buy from those categories. But again, high-end or prestige makeup is expensive. You're looking at, $15 to $20 for a lipstick, $50 for an eyeshadow palette, $40 to $50 for a powder or a foundation. These are definitely expensive products, especially if you are someone who likes to have a variety of makeup rather than just the same kind of makeup you wear every day, which is fine. A lot of people wear the same makeup every day. And if you do that, you might be able to get all your makeup from like high-end brands, not spend thousands, and still have enough to do your makeup on a daily basis and be good with that. But for a lot of us, we tend to have a mix of things, and that's what I have. So the next level down is what we consider the drugstore makeup. This actually used to be cheaper, but drugstore makeup has started ticking up in price. If you've been there lately, you've noticed that drugstore foundations are starting to get expensive. So I actually broke drugstore down into two categories at this point. You have standard drugstore, which runs from $8 to $20, roughly. These are L'Oreal, Maybelline, CoverGirl, NYX. These are your more expensive drugstore brands. And then you have budget drugstore, anywhere from $1 to $10. These are Wet n Wild, e.l.f., ColourPop, etc. My favorite things tend to come from either budget drugstore or high-end. That is what the majority of my makeup collection is it's high-end and budget drugstore, because that's where I find the best makeup. I'm not a huge fan of CoverGirl, most of their products that, at least that I've tried in the past. I haven't tried any of their products recently. I wouldn't mind trying some of their products. And L'Oreal and Maybelline, they're okay. Certain things are good from those brands, but the majority of things from those brands I don't tend to like. NYX, I freaking love NYX. But the majority of my stuff is either like Urban Decay, Tarte, Anastasia Beverly Hills, Wet n Wild, e.l.f., ColourPop. So you've got that higher end prestige makeup, that $20 to $50 range, and then budget $1 to $10. That's how I tend to save the most money on makeup. And the key to that is pick where to spend and where to save. Now this is going to be different for everybody based on your skin type, how makeup wears on you, etc. But I think that what I generally tend to go with will work for everyone. Hold on, I need coffee. It's been a long day. All right, so I'm going to start by telling you guys what I save on. This is stuff that I tend to buy mostly in the budget drugstore category. This is foundation, concealer, lip products, lashes, and brushes and tools. What this means is most of my foundation, I can actually show you what's in my drawer right now. My top 3 used foundations right now are the e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation. This is like $5 or $6. The Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. This is $5. And the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop. This is what I would consider standard drugstore price. This runs around $11 or $12. The 2 current concealers I'm using are the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer and the ColourPop No Filter Concealer. Both of these are amazing. Lip products. The majority of my lip products, Wet n Wild, NYX. This is a Korean brand called the Sem. This is around like $6, $7 roughly. And then a lot of my higher end lip products like Buxom, etc. are all samples. I'll get to that in a minute. But the majority of my full-size lip products I buy are usually drugstore. Lashes. I love Ardell lashes. I like Ardell and Eylure. These are amazing. The Ardell and the Eylure. I also tried the Violet Voss lashes. I do like these. These are more expensive though. These are in the $15 range. They're good, but honestly, Eylure has very similar lashes for a couple dollars cheaper. Now, I haven't tried a whole lot of high-end lashes. Again, I would be open to trying them, but honestly, the lashes I've been using work really well for me. And then the last category, brushes and tools. I'm just going to show you, this is my current brush container. I have Real Techniques. These are in the maybe, I'd say $7 to $10 a brush range. Then I have Morphe. These are around $4 to $6 a brush roughly. Sigma is a bit more expensive. I splurged on this one. I think it was $17 because I use this for highlights. This is e.l.f. This is Wet n Wild. These are all excellent brushes. My favorite highlighting brush that I actually use for contour is from e.l.f. And if you take the Sigma out of there, all my brushes typically are between $1 and $8. And they're all good, high quality brushes. Like, I absolutely love them. Also, when it comes to tools, I'm talking about things like tweezers. I do spend on these. These are Tweezerman. These were $15, but they will last me a freaking lifetime. Eyelash curlers. I like Tweezerman. Again, they're around the $12 to $15 range. Also, the Revlon eyelash curlers are really good. And then other tools I use are things like Q-tips, etc., and they're super, super cheap. So I tend to keep stuff like that very inexpensive. I don't like to spend a lot of money on those. Now, things that I tend to spend on. Number one, eyebrows. I spend on my eyebrows. They look a little jacked up right now. Look, I'm missing a spot. Hold on. I have to fix that. That's going to drive me up the wall. Okay, that's a bit better. I told you, it gets hot. My eyebrows are just like off my face in a second. But eyebrows are what I tend to spend on. Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow, the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel, and the Urban Decay Brow Blade. All very expensive products. Also, all excellent brow products. I spend on my brows because I have very naturally light brows. They're lighter than my natural hair color. They are very, very blonde. They do not show up well. They have major gaps. Basically, my brows are very, very, very ridiculously high maintenance. So I spend a lot of money on brow products just to make it easier to handle this situation. The other thing I spend on is eyeshadow. This is probably the thing I spend most money on is eyeshadow. I have a ridiculous amount of eyeshadow palettes, I will admit it, but I buy from Anastasia Beverly Hills, I buy from Urban Decay, I buy Tarte, It Cosmetics, Lorac, I have Too Faced, who else do I have in there? Like, I have palettes from like everywhere. I spend a lot on eyeshadow palettes. One, eyeshadow palettes last forever. A lot of them say they'll live like 12 to 18 months. Eyeshadow palettes, if they're stored properly, which we'll get to, will last for years. They're excellent. I think they're worth the investment because I do have drugstore shadows. I very rarely use them because they just do not function as well. I have found that in general, if you want to know where to spend and where to save, save on your creams, spend on your powders. That's kind of a blanket statement, but typically powders to have very good pigment and to be super finely milled costs a lot of money to produce. So you tend to only find the good, really good powders and the really good pigments in the higher end products. There are some exceptions to that. So the other things I tend to spend on are blushes, highlights, and powders. Again, I love Tarte blushes. I love Too Faced bronzers. I love, for powders, I like Laura Mercier. I love the MAC Marley Skin Finish. Highlights, I like Smashbox. I like Becca. I like higher end powders because I've found that they function so much better and look so much more blended in and skin-like and stay on your skin longer than drugstore powders. You can take a $5 drugstore foundation and put a $5 blush on top of it, and that blush will be gone in no time. You take a $5 drugstore foundation and put $20 blush over it, that blush is going to last you all day. So, at least that's what I personally have found. You may find something different, and if you have, please share in the comments below if you've found like a drugstore product that's amazing that I say I typically spend a lot of money on it, because that would be excellent. I always love saving money. So I spend on eyebrows, eyeshadow, blushes, highlights, and powders. So for certain things, I both spend and save. It depends on the brand and what I'm looking for typically. I tend to do both on skincare. So for things like toners, facial mists, etc., I tend to save. I get minis like the Mario Badescu. I get minis of like the Urban Decay All Nighter and the MAC Prep and Prime. The reason I get minis is A, they last me a very long time, and B, they're less expensive. Now, if you have one that you absolutely love that you use all the time, go ahead and get it in a full size. I tend to use a different spray based on what time of year it is, what the humidity level is, what foundation or powder I'm wearing that day. So I tend to have anywhere between 3 and 5 different mists at any one time for whatever products I'm using available. So I tend to get minis, that way they don't expire or go funky before I use all of them. As far as like general skincare goes, I spend a lot on moisturizer. I don't spend a lot on cleansers and stuff. And part of that is because I use primarily Korean and Japanese skincare. So I actually get higher quality skincare for less money. If you look at the ingredients list, you're definitely getting better ingredients in most Korean and Japanese skincare lines than you are in American skincare lines, and you're spending like half the amount of money. So I would highly recommend looking into these lines. A lot of them have English writing, or companies like Belief will have US branches and come out with specific all US packaging. I also tend to try and save on things like face masks. Like I will rarely spend more than $3 or $4 on a face mask. I've seen some face masks that are $10. Insane. Unless it's working miracles, I'm probably not spending that much on a face mask. Primers and sunscreens, I tend again to do both on. So sunscreens, I get samples of high-end sunscreens that I try, and some I like and some I don't. And then the sunscreen I tend to actually go to the most is a Japanese brand sunscreen that is only about $10 a bottle and will last me almost the entire summer. So it's very, very affordable. And then for primers, I spend and save because I tend to use higher end primers like Too Faced and Becca and things like that, but I get them as samples, so I'm actually saving a lot of money. Now, these are actually samples I pay through subscription boxes. I'm not like going to the store and going, hey, can I have a sample of this primer and this primer and this primer and this primer? Because, you know, that's a little, that's not cool. Asking for a sample of one product to try or 2 products to try, fine. Getting a bunch of samples so you don't ever have to spend money on makeup, I'm not cool with that, because I believe that you should support both verbally and monetarily companies that you love their product. But anyway, other thing I do both on is mascara. So there are some drugstore mascaras I'm like over the moon for that I really love. Like this L'Oreal Unlimited mascara is excellent. It is so, so good. At the same time, I also love Benefit Roller Lash, which is a high-end mascara. So Maybelline mascaras are amazing, but so are most Lancome mascaras. So it's really up to you and your budget with where you go on mascaras. I tend to go back and forth. I get lots of mascara samples, so I tend to use those up. Occasionally I'll buy full-size high-end mascaras, and occasionally I'll look at my makeup budget and be like, you know, we're gonna go drugstore this month. It's one of those categories where you can go either and be just fine. I also tend to do both on glitters and like specialty items. And by that, I mean like anything that's not something that you're gonna wear a ton. So things like glittery lipsticks, I tend to go cheap on. Things like bright color lipstick, I tend to go cheap on. And by cheap, I don't mean quality. NYX is some of the best quality product for the price available, in my opinion. but I mean it's inexpensive. But at the same time, if it's something that is just an absolutely stunning product, I'm willing to spend a lot of money on it. Like the Stila Glitter and Glow Liquid Eyeshadows. These are freaking amazing. These are also really expensive. They're around I want to say $24 for one of these. What I would recommend is if you're going to get like a trendy color, like pink, get something that is drugstore level. If you're going to get something that you know you can wear with just about any eye look, like a silver or a gold, go with a higher end product. That's what I do, at least. When I go high end, I try and keep it neutral. More drugstore or lower end makeup, then I feel more comfortable buying like purple lipstick that I know I'm only gonna wear once or twice or around Halloween. So I think that's everything. I think I covered everything as to what I spend on makeup and what categories. If I missed a category, let me know and I'll answer your question down in the comments below. I actually made like a whole like outline for this video, which I usually never do because I didn't want to forget anything. And I probably still forgot something.